So we export drug intermediates, active pharmaceutical ingredients. We provide clinical services across the globe. Our exports are 14.6 billion, so it's almost 50-50 of what figure you saw. Export to more than 200 countries. And the creditable thing is that we export mostly to the regulated markets now, like the US, the UK, Germany, Russia, and South Africa. Formulation exports to US is 1.5 billion, to UK is 1.9 billion, and to Australia is 90 million, almost a billion. So we really have a penchant for supplying to the regulated markets because we are now geared up to meet global regulatory challenges. We are among the top 5 pharma emerging markets. We are a front runner in a wide range of specialties. The generics market in India is expected to grow to 26 billion. I mean, generics is the idea whose time has come today, and that's what is fetching us our revenues. Even the world is looking at generics. If you see the figures later on, you will see generics market in India is 26.1 billion. It is expected to keep growing. We are the largest outside USA as far as ANDAs are concerned. India has about 10,000 manufacturing units, we've seen it, whereas US has just 2,500 manufacturing units. We are considered as a pharmacy of the world, and why? Because the single largest supplier of generic medicines to the world, supply 70 to 90% of essential medicines to developing countries, 80% of medicines for AIDS issued by the MSF, that is Doctors Without Frontiers, distributed in treatment projects is in over 30 countries. We are a provider of 70% of the treatment for 87 countries under UNICEF, under the Global Fund to Fight AIDS, Tuberculosis, Malaria, and the Clinton Foundation. So the world is depending on our quality, affordable generics. Manufacturer of every 5th generic drug and every 3rd HIV drug in the world. The future is very positive. The need to raise global competitiveness of the Indian manufacturing sector is imperative for the country's long-term growth. The National Manufacturing Council is by far the most comprehensive and significant policy initiative taken by the government. The policy is the first of its kind for the manufacturing sector. It addresses areas of regulation, infrastructure, skill development. These are all the things that we are going to discuss when we go for manufacturing in India, make in India. Skill development, availability of finance, exit mechanism. We are going to be the 3rd largest market for APIs in the next 1 year. Indian pharma companies registered a 49% overall drug master filing filed in the US. CRAMS is estimated to be a 8 billion business. The formulations industry, India is the largest exporter of formulations. A double-digit growth is expected over the next 5 years. Now, before we go to the details of manufacturing in India, let us understand why we have not been able to garner and cash in on this strength that we already have. We are just going on an inertia. And how long can a car go on, with the existing petrol on an inertia? Same way, we need some inputs. We need infrastructure, which is very important. We need skilled labor, skilled people to run the show. We need insurance. We need a greater share of the GDP for healthcare. Our healthcare budget is very little. We have hardly 1 to 2% or 3% of our GDP as against other countries which have almost 12 to 14 to 16%. So unless we have all this support from the government, our procedures are very lengthy. Doing business in India sometimes becomes a pain. Why FDI is not coming is because of this reason. We don't have a single window clearance system like most countries have. So these are the impediments. Once these impediments are taken care of, obviously, Make in India is going to become a reality. So let's go through that. India's manufacturing sector has tremendous potential for growth, with over 800 million below the age of 35 or less. So youth is our strength. Even today, if you see here in this small audience, majority of the people are young. Some of them, of course, use the Godrej dye and look young like me, but several are genuinely very young people. India's demographic advantage, our labor force is young. India is in the enviable position of providing manpower even for the rest of the world. And wherever you go, you will see Indian people doing well. They are very hardworking. So this is our strength. We only account for 15% of GDP at present, vis-a-vis 34% in China. South Korea has 22%, Germany, a lot catching up to do. To achieve this, government needs to work on curbing red tapeism. This, as I said, less red tapeism, less procedures, quick clearance, making legal compliances easier and transparent. Our rules, regulations should be very simple. Amending regulations to make them more investor-friendly, so people will come and invest in India. And that's how FDI will increase. We've already discussed this. Let's go to the next point. India is the 6th largest market globally in terms of size. India's cost of production significantly lower than that of USA. In anything you see, even if you see a cost of a product, which is an antibiotic, we are less than 1/10. If you see clinical trials, which cost almost $300 to $400 million outside, here we do it in 10, 20, 30 million. If you see the cost of developing a new product, it's 800 million outside. It's not even 300 to 400 million here. So we have this cost advantage, and people should take advantage of it. India's cost of production is significantly lower. A skilled workforce as well as high managerial and technical competence is also our strength. Economic prosperity is likely to improve affordability of generic drugs in the market. Approval time for new facilities has been drastically reduced, but we still need to buck up as far as international timelines are concerned. What are the growth drivers that will see the Indian pharma industry grow? OTC, which is a non-prescription, is bound to grow because we are now having deep roots. In fact, some companies are promoting to the government that let OTC products be promoted in post offices, because in the rural areas we have a post office, but we don't have a clinic, we don't have a pharmacy. Hospital business is definitely going to grow from 13% a couple of years ago to 26%. Mind you, most of the progressive countries like US, like Japan, have a vast percentage of hospital business. Rise of lifestyle diseases in India is expected to boost the industry. Over $200 billion is to be spent on medical infrastructure in the next 5 decades. So you can imagine the amount of business that's going to grow here. Hospitals, clinics, clinical research, pharmaceutical industry, pathological laboratories. India's patient pool is expected to increase to over 20% in the next 10 years, mainly due to the rise in population. So we'll have a virgin family to depend on for clinical research and clinical trials. Currently, our FDI policy is reasonably good, but then government still wants a brownfield. They are giving more importance to brownfield, not to brownfield, but to greenfield. Whereas if you come out with a new business, if you want to start a new business, 100% is okay. But if you want to take on an existing business, then a lot of procedures are required. You go through the government route. So IDMA has recommended that up to an investment of 1,500 crores, there should be an automatic approval from the government of India. But if it is anything more than that, like if you see what is happening today, 3,000, 5,000 crores investment, there, okay, the government can intervene and look at things with a magnifying glass. Because unless FDI comes in, growth is going to be restricted. India's growing respect and legal regulatory framework for IPR, because a lot of criticism was there earlier that we don't respect IPR. Well, Indians and IDMA do recognize and respect patents, but not at the cost of monopoly. We want the innovator to be remunerated, but we don't want a backdoor entry of increasing the life of a patient. Because of patent expiration of blockbuster drugs, Indian firms are expected to actively participate in production of generic version. But of course, the values are going to be reduced, because if a patented product is costing $100, once it goes out of patent because of competition and because of various other advantages, the cost will be $20. So the market size will come down, but volumes will certainly go up. Therefore, India will be able to maintain a large basket of quality, affordable generics with assured safety and efficacy. Now see the advantage India has. We have cost efficiency, we have the economic drivers, we have policy support, and we have a diversified portfolio. So these are the advantage we have, which no other country has. You see the low cost of production and R&D as we spoke. See the comparative cost advantages which the Indian pharma exports have. Diversified portfolio. Not working, okay. It accounts for 10% of global pharmaceutical production, 60,000 generic brands. We manufacture more than 400 different APIs. The economic drivers, the economic prosperity today, increasing penetration of healthcare insurance, which still needs a lot to be done. Policy support. The government has unveiled its Pharma Vision 2020, that is 2020, aimed at making India a global leader. Reduced approval time for new facilities. You'll be happy to note that the government of India has itself set a goal jointly with the industry. As I told you, we are today 4th largest in volume and almost 7th or 8th in 10th to 12th in volume, in value. But we want to now improve on this. The government has said we should be the 2nd largest or the 3rd largest as far as volume is concerned, and as far as value is concerned, we must be 6th or 7th. So this is the type of goals we are setting. The advantages we've already discussed, and because of that, India is a world leader in anti-AIDS and anti-TB segments. Satya has already told you about Cipla. Ajit Singh spoke about Cipla. So you can imagine all these big companies are the favorites of various international foundations which have a lot of monies to be pumped in for anti-AIDS, for antiretrovirals, anti-TB. Bill Clinton Foundation has been buying a lot of materials from India, from Indian companies. Many Indian companies are part of the agreements where Lemuvudin and all these other type of products, which India is, it's an in-house innovation. We are supplying it to the African countries. Our affordable generics are our main strength. Lower prices is a significant factor in the rapid uptake of generics. In Europe, generic products contribute to 50% of the market size. You can imagine everybody wants to go for generics because now even the rich countries don't have the budgets. US, Japan, they are feeling that pinch. So they have to depend on generics. Generics contributes in US 3/4 of the prescription. And almost more than 60% of this is from India. Global population was 2.8 billion earlier. You can imagine today it's 7.28 billion. So everybody wants medicines. Nobody can do without medicines. The proportion of older people requiring support is also going up in most countries except in India. So Japan, US, they will have to insure their people. People will have to go for cheaper medicines because they don't have any income now. They live on their interest. So generics has to come to the fore. So this is already what we have discussed. Japan still remains a virgin market. Most minimum generics are being used or prescribed in Japan, but of course things are going to change now. We are the largest supplier to the UNICEF. A lot of UNICEF tenders are backed by India, the Indian government, the Indian companies. And most of them are our IDMA members, if you see. We are the pharmacy to the developing world. Main procurement agencies in developing countries depend overwhelmingly on the Indian medicines. 50% of medicines procured by UNICEF for developing countries are from India. 75 to 80% of